Okay. All right. So for those of you who are just hopping in, I was recommending that if you have a crystal that you can sit on or sit with or clutch, and an essential oil that you can use, please do. This is going to be some challenging information, especially if you've not heard this before. I don't know what, if any, spiritual communities you hang out with, either in person or online. I don't know what discussions are being had. I know in my Sacred Shift community, I just started broaching the subject with them in September to prep them for right now. So before I start, um, for those of you who may not know me like personally or haven't taken a class, I'm Allie Phillips. I'm here in Michigan in the center. Um, I've been an attorney for 31 years, and I've had my energy healing business since 2011. And I have a cat who is like banging on the door. I need to let him out because he's going to drive me crazy. So here, walk with me while I let Dobby out. Dobby is not good about being locked up. Okay, out you go. Out you go. Okay. All right, welcome to live TV in my home office full of cats. So like I said, I've been an attorney for 31 years in the field of criminal prosecution. I have been a lobbyist. I've had my energy business since 2011, and I will talk a little bit more about that as I walk through this perspective. But first, I want to hear in the chat, if you wouldn't mind, the primary emotion you are feeling right now. If you would not mind sharing that. All right, I'm seeing grief, confusion, grief, sadness, fear, afraid for yourself and other people, fear, grief. I gotta plug my computer back in before it dies. Fear, grief. Yeah. Worry for what might happen. Uh-huh. This is the collective energy right now. This is the collective energy. Just disappointment. Yeah. And a lot of anger. Yeah, which you know is a mask for other emotions. If you also wouldn't mind typing in the chat, has this affected personal relationships, whether with friends, family, or coworkers? Have you banned anybody from your life or social media? Okay, I'm seeing yes, yes, yes. Okay. Yeah, no bans, but you've kept to yourself all day. Going within, retreating. Oh, a breakup of a 3-year relationship. Ouch. Oh, yeah. And you know who not to talk to about this. Okay. So, yeah. So, a lot of suppression of what you want to say, your ability to speak freely. And I really debated whether I was going to have this because normally I schedule it. I've done this after every presidential election since I opened my business in 2011, with the exception of 2012 because there were really these online platforms didn't exist like this. There was no such thing as Zoom. But absolutely, 2016 I did this. 2020 I did this. I've even done some midterm elections. And I thought about it last week, and I was like, no. Let me wait. Let me wait and see what the collective energy is. And I woke up this morning and started downloading. I was channeling information. And I channeled for about 2 hours, and I do automatic writing. So I'm just literally typing on my computer and it's information is channeling through me. And when I got to the end of it, and I was actually texting with somebody in my Sacred Shift community, and she was checking in with me, and I was checking in with her. And I'm like, oh, I just channeled some information. I think I'm going to come into the Sacred Shift and share it. And as I started to basically edit, because I was just furiously typing, I was going back through and I was reading what I got. I'm like, I can't keep this to just a few select people. I need to share this with everybody. So, all right, I'm going to try to. Oh, Colleen, I just saw what you wrote. Oh boy. Okay. All right. So everybody's struggling. Everybody is not everybody. Half the population is struggling, but the world is struggling right now. And when something unexpected or shocking happens, it creates a shift in our reality. We just had a major shift in our reality. Now, I'm going to be talking about the energy of things. Energy doesn't know good or bad. That's a human construct, okay? So, what was believed to happen in this election came out differently than expected, and that shifted our reality. Whenever there is a shocking event, it shifts our reality. And that's where I want to start with the election. Now, I will tell you, there are going to be some big revelations that are coming. I keep hearing the song. It's actually one of my favorite songs by Lenny Kravitz. It Ain't Over Till It's Over. I like that song is haunting me today. Like the angelic energies are just playing it nonstop. I don't know what's brewing, and there's a lot of speculation online, but these are coming from people that made a lot of speculations online and they were wrong. So I don't know what it is, but I know that what we know, and I'm using that in quotes, I know that what we know right now is going to change because the manipulation and the messaging against us is at all time high. So I recommend as best as you can to tune out everything that is not nourishing to your soul, at least in the short term, at least until the end of the year. Okay, just tune it out. Because sometimes we absorb news, whether it's on television or social media, kind of like the song Dirty Laundry by Don Henley. Like, it's like we love dirty laundry. Yeah, that's not what we need right now. We don't need that. We don't need to go looking for problems. So, what I'm going to share is like more than 10 years worth of information. It is probably more like 20 years worth of information that I have been receiving, seeing, experiencing, but really haven't shared. Really haven't shared because I believe that everyone needs to have their own experiences as a human. We have free will as humans. Absolutely, we have free will. And that is the one thing I want you to know right now. You have free will. No one can take that from you. That is a right for being here on this planet. That is a planetary energy, free will. But at the same point, we are not in control. Okay? You can be. So what I'm going to talk about, these are not conspiracy theories because my left logical brain will not allow me to go down those rabbit holes. I mean, I would not even be able to entertain anything that I have not seen or experienced. But I can tell you that this information, it's going to challenge your beliefs because it challenged mine. And what I am just going to have to assume is that you have some level of spiritual awareness. Otherwise, you probably wouldn't be tuning into this. So, like I said, for years, I didn't really share any of this because I was deeply within one of the systems that I'm going to talk about as an attorney, as a lobbyist, working in all three branches of government: judicial, executive, and congressional. And I was doing that to bring about change. I learned later on that I'm a light worker and a star seed because I didn't understand why my path was so difficult in those three branches and in the industries that I chose. But I kept an open mind. I stayed aware. I advocated for things that everybody shot me down, said I was crazy. And I learned how to look at things energetically from a distance and not be in the emotional fray. And that's how I've been able to affect change in my world, because I work legally in the field of domestic violence, child abuse, animal abuse, not good stuff. And I have been able to affect massive change because of how I shifted. So I started talking about some of this stuff just in September, like 2 months ago in my Sacred Shift group. And here's the very short story that it literally took me an hour to explain to them. And I always say in any of my gatherings or classes, you can believe all of it, some of it, none of it. That's up to you. But it's important that I share it, and whatever you do with it is for you, because you have free will. It's for you to decide. And I'm not the only one sharing this information because it's part of the evolution of our planet. It's part of the evolution of our species and the awakening that I think we can all agree has been happening since 2020. No one can deny our society as human beings, not just here in America, but in the world, dramatically changed. What is interesting is after I was done channeling this and like went through and read my notes, and I'm like, okay, well, this is kind of not a hot mess. I think I can share this. I saw on social media a video that Marianne Williamson put out. Now, yes, she's been a presidential candidate. I know her from the spiritual world, like from Hay House and what's the A Course in Miracles that she teaches. And she put out a video today talking in different terminology, but about everything I'm about to say, and actually called on politicians to resign their imaginary titles. That's what she called it. And for us to take away the power of the mass media. I'm like, oh, okay. These messages are now coming in super strong. So for those of you who have taken a lot of classes from me or in my communities, I talk about Bruce Lipton, cellular biologist who wrote The Biology of Belief, and Greg Braden, who is a geologist and an engineer and a quantum physicist, and he's written a ton of books. Well, in a recent training that I went through with them, they talked about the science of how our brain is built like a computer, and all computers need a program to run. Like right now, we're all on Zoom. You had to put the program on your phone, your tablet, or your computer. Otherwise, we wouldn't be here. So this is what our brain is like. We have to have programs to run it. And we are programmed as humans since the moment we are born. And the programs are almost all embedded by the time that we are 7. And these programs play out in our beliefs and in our actions. These programs come from a variety of sectors. And like I said, they start the moment we are born. We actually start forming beliefs in the womb in the final trimester. And these quantum physicists, they've proven that. So the last 3 months before the birth, beliefs are being embedded. So the beliefs of the mother get embedded into the child. And so the sectors, just a few, and I'm not going to necessarily name them all. You probably can guess, but education, religion, media, politics, even the law, which don't get me wrong, I do love the law. But these pillars are in a death fight to survive as the energy dramatically shifts on this planet. We had a shift today, a big one. to the point where I physically got sick to my stomach, not because of the result, but because of the energy shift. I literally got sick to my stomach. So we all know that America was built on a democracy where everyone has a voice, but in reality, that's not true. And how it plays out, it's not. It's not true. We like to talk a good game, but that's not true because of these control sectors in our world. So in this election, Americans voted based on what politicians and the media told us were important. When I look at what is important to me, they weren't talking about any of that. They weren't talking about any of that. They told us the agenda. Like we show up in school and the teacher on the first day hands you, these are your assignments for the semester. This is what we're going to do. This is what I'm going to teach you, and we're not straying from this. They told us the agenda. They made us either care or they made us get angry. And then they sent us out to share it. And I've seen it on social media. And much of it is inaccurate because of where it's coming from. So that's the first thing. The second thing is we were told who to vote for. And so let me back up a second. I have a political science degree. I have an international relations degree. I have an Asian specialty degree. And I have a law degree. This is what 8 years of higher education did for me. And so I have followed politics and law since grade school. Like this was my path. I knew this was going to be my path. So for me to say, we were told the agenda and we were told who to vote for, flies in the face of everything that I was trained. So at the beginning, well, let me explain to you why we were told who to vote for. At the beginning of the primary and caucus season, there were very few candidates on the Republican side and only one on the Democratic side. Well, there were two on the Democratic side, kind of. Because opposition was not allowed. It was not allowed. And the media chose who to cover, leaving a lot of voters unaware of who some of the challengers were. And then the media took out Biden, took him out. Because of a debate. Everybody has bad debates. Name me a politician who hasn't had a bad debate. Now, Kamala only had one. She's a former prosecutor. It was a pretty darn good debate because she's a prosecutor, like I was a prosecutor. We know how to debate. We can stand our ground. But everybody, Obama had bad debates. Bush Sr., Bush Jr., Clinton, they all had bad debates. The media took them out, and that's when I really started paying attention. It's like, okay, what's going on? Something's going on. And then Trump was basically handed his vice president. He didn't pick his vice president, which is why you don't really see them together all that much. It was handed to him. That's control. That's part of the control. And then we are bombarded with information about topics and getting false information from other countries to get us upset, to heighten our emotions, to put us in a trauma response, and to fight amongst ourselves because it's really easy to control the narrative of all the people when everybody is based in fear. And this all came from our own mass media and from people that we all know on social media. Could have been you, could have been a friend, could have been a family member, could have been somebody that you know who brought the information. Much of it false, and became the puppets of the control industry. And when we are weak with fear, we are vulnerable. And that's what made a lot of us sick. A lot of people have been sick and not feeling well lately. So depending on the news and the information that you were absorbing each day, and some people say, well, I don't watch the news. You're still getting information. You're still getting emails. Maybe you're on social media. All it takes is seeing one post. And do you know whether it's true or not? Do you know whether it came from Russia or not? And they are discovering, because in every industry, this is one thing that I want to say, in every industry, whether it's dentistry, accounting, car salesman, or politics, there are light workers. There are good people in there. Okay. Not all of them are, okay. So, depending on the news and the information that you absorbed each day, you probably thought that who you voted for was a guaranteed to win. You probably thought that, right? Each side was told that. Each side was told they would have a landslide in their favor. How is that possible? I think we can all agree that polling doesn't work anymore. Who are they polling? Have they ever polled you? Because I've never been polled. Who are they polling? That's the thing. Are they polling anybody? We don't know. We don't know, but people buy it. And they either become super excited and complacent, or they become fearful about it. So the media, so last night I was up until about 2 a.m. And then I just kind of passed out from sheer exhaustion. But the media was predicting winners across the board based on 4% of votes being counted. 4%. Come on. We all know that's not right. Votes are still being counted right now, but the media has wrapped it up in a bow. And they're like, here are all your winners across the board, all the races. So how does that make you feel knowing that your vote probably hasn't even been looked at? Yeah, it's part of the control. I literally got onto Michigan's website where ever since I turned in my ballot, I physically walked it into my township clerk on October 9th, and I said, here. And I watched her put it in a box. And I'm like, you're not going to suck it through the machine? And she said, nope, it goes through a box. And I think she said the week of, so starting Monday, she said, then we start sucking it through the machine. Okay. It went in the box. It was sealed. Can't open the box without a key. And then I kept looking online and it said, received your ballot on October 9th. And it's like, okay, I want to know when it's counted. The information disappeared yesterday. It is not there. The website is there. The webpage is there. But instead of showing my ballot, it says you have no upcoming elections. So I don't know whether it was counted. So this is all programming. And now for half of the population, it has created shock and division, which is very attractive to dark energy. We live on a planet that has light and dark energy. It just is what it is. We are a planet of duality, and that's what we have. So, okay, at this point, if you have an essential oil, I need you to take a deep breath and just keep hanging in with me on this. So I mentioned, okay, I've been an attorney, I've been a lobbyist, I have a political science degree, I have a law degree, I've been in the industry. I've been in these sectors, and I knew from a very early age that I would be in politics, I would be in the law to create change, not the idealistic change like, oh, I want to save all the kittens and puppies. I do want to save all the kittens and puppies, but I'm very realistic. But what I knew was I was going to be a young woman in a male-dominated industry. And my law school professors toughened me up because when I told them what I wanted to do after my first year of law school, they said, we're going to treat you harsher because we got to toughen you up for the courtroom. And I'm like, great, bring it on. How is that okay to treat me rougher than the men that were in law school with me? And I mean, there were so many days I walked out of, because I went to night school because I worked full time, and I would walk out of class in tears, and my male, classmates, they're like, damn, he was hard on you today. And I'm like, but it's making me a better lawyer. He wasn't hard on them. I will come back to that. But I entered it because that was my soul mission, was to go in and make change. I didn't know it, but I know it now. And because of the energy work that I've done for the last 20 years, the energy work doesn't match that programming. at all. So I look at things very differently. And I've slowly been seeing how it really works and what my job has been. And it's really hard for some people to hear that the political system, the media, our laws, our religions, Hollywood, the medical system, and more are control systems. That's really hard to say, and I know it's really hard to hear. And it was hard for me to learn that the law was a part of it, but now I see it. I see it. Things can be used for good. Religion can be for good. Medicine can be for good. Hollywood can be for good. For goodness sakes, we have Hallmark Christmas movie season on right now, and it's a very predictable ending, and it's super happy, and nobody swears and does anything bad. I'll take that programming any day. So there can be things that are good in these industries, but they are control systems, especially right now. And, and for me, hearing that the law was part of it, I still believe we have to have laws. We have to have guardrails so that we just don't break out into a violent, harmful society. But then I sit back and think, we actually live in a very violent society, especially toward women and marginalized communities. I mean, just 1 in 3 women are sexually assaulted in their life. 12 million men and women victims of relationship violence every year. We got a problem. We got a problem in this country. And it's not just us, it's everywhere. Okay, so I want to share, these were perspectives that I got as part of this channel. And I want to share these perspectives because it's also what the media was portraying, depending on what media you watch. Let me start with Kamala. Portrayed as loving, nurturing, joyful, but tough because she was a prosecutor. And she ran on a platform of giving everyone the right to live the life that they want to live. That sounds good. Who would oppose that? Who? Who would oppose that? Because we are wired for survival, and that resonated with a lot of people. But then I got the question, would she have been able to do that? Maybe as a human she wanted to, but the controllers, would they allow that? When you get to that level of power, I'm not talking about your lower level politicians as being wrapped up in this. I'm talking about your higher level people. When you get to that level, you are no longer in control of your messaging at all. It's just the way the system has always worked. And I got a glimpse of it in my career, and I bucked the system hard. And I paid a very hard price for it, very hard price. That's for another day. So, her supporters like the overall energy of her message. And a lot of people not necessarily concerned about her policies, just that, hey, you're basically nurturing. She earned the nickname Mamala, basically a mom, a nurturing energy. And the people who supported Trump were fed information that portrayed her negatively and dangerously. Was it true? Was it false? I don't know. I don't know. So most of them put blinders on, especially to her policies. And if you were to ask them, name one of Kamala's policies, they can't do it because they didn't look, because they were basically told she's evil, she's negative, stay away from her. Now, I'm still not getting clarity on her soul mission and why she's in this high level position of power, other than she is doing her part in the energy shift. That I know. I know. We don't know her personally, and we either take it as true or not, how she conveys herself. But she is playing her part in the energy shift, okay? Now, Trump, factually, in the dimension that we live in, this third dimension, and I'm going to be talking about third dimension and fifth dimensional worlds. Third dimension is just kind of the chaotic world that we live in right now. Factually, he's a convicted felon. He's an adjudicated rapist. He has civil judgments against him for fraud. He talks divisively about people to divide them and pit them against each other. And there are some media outlets that portray that all the time, and other media outlets that don't cover it at all. So it depends on who you listen to. And his supporters don't hear the divisive language because of the media that they are absorbing. And when I ask them, because no one ever knows how I vote, ever. No one ever knows that. So I can have conversations with people and not get defensive or judgmental, and which is hard some days because I'm a Leo. I'm sorry, at the end of the day, I'm a Leo. We judge everybody. I mean, it's just what we do. So it takes a lot of gumption for me not to judge. But I will genuinely ask, whether they're online or in person, I'm like, hey, how do you feel about how he talks about people, how he talks about women, what he says he's going to do to his enemies? And I will tell you 100% of the time, they look at me like, what are you talking about? And I'm like, well, didn't you hear that speech? Because I listen to all the politics, so I hear all of it. I'm going to need to go into therapy for it, listening to all of it. And so I'll tell them something, and they're like, well, that didn't happen. And I'm like, it was literally his rally. They don't hear it because the media that they listen to doesn't show it. So they just don't hear it. They don't see it. They have been shielded from it. And then I did this back in 2016. Look at his last name. He's the trump card. He's bringing down the shaky house of cards that we call the political system. And his purpose here is clear. We don't have to like it. Everyone has a soul aligned purpose. Consciously, they may not understand it, but everybody has a reason for why they're here. And his job is to shake us up and wake us up. Do you think he's been successful to shake us up and wake us up? He has. He is playing his soul purpose perfectly. Kamala, I mean, she's kind of new to us. We didn't really know a lot about her. We suspect she's playing her part perfectly. But at this point, Trump is now even under some control because he didn't pick his vice president. Vice president was chosen for him. Knowing his personality, he ain't liking that. He ain't liking that. So this is why I said at the beginning, there's going to be some problems. There's going to be some problems. Just stay tuned. So his supporters were not fed information by the media, and they focused more on him being different. And when I would ask, why would you vote for him? What is exactly that you like about him? Well, he's not like all the other rotten politicians. And they could cite one or two policies that they liked, like the economy. But yet, when I would ask them deeper questions, they couldn't answer. So they were fed information. And I'm not saying it's right or wrong, it just is how they felt. Because if you really understood, the economy is a controlled system. But we're only controlled by it if we believe it. I mean, for several years, I have literally been testing this by challenging what the government tells me about the economy and behaving the opposite. So when they say, oh, we're in a recession, we're in a downturned economy, I don't believe that for a second. I don't. I don't believe that for a second because I see people buying things that are important to them. I know how many of you buy crystals. Okay. I know how many of you buy essential oils. I know how many of you buy clothing that makes you feel good or spend money on your pets. And I see the long lines at Starbucks paying $8 for a cup of coffee that I could get for $1 at McDonald's. Really? Come on. So it's a control system. So even when they say, oh, I'm voting for him based on the economy, that's a control system. So the divisiveness created in this election with the sudden removal of Biden took away people who did vote for him, but it also highlighted that Kamala is a woman of color in a power position going up against Trump, who is a white man who mingles with rich and powerful people. That's just factual. Nobody is going to object to any of that. But neither of those represent who we are as a collective, as the majority people. They are propped up to play a part in getting us to see what's really happening. They are doing their part, whether they win or lose. It's not conscious, it's at a soul level. We're all doing our part. So these portrayals by the media and by politicians now have us more divided than ever before. And I'm seeing it online. Oh my God, I am seeing women saying that they are walking away from friends and family who voted differently. And I'm not saying that that's a bad thing, but energetically, they're like, I'm walking away. They are getting out of romantic relationships for fear of getting pregnant. There is this whole movement now that started in South Korea, North Korea, South Korea, called the 4B movement. I do not know what 4B stands for, but it means basically, men, you do not have access to this at all. We're shutting you down. I'm seeing a push online from other countries offering incentives for Americans to move. This is what's in our in the feed that I'm seeing today, and it's all fear-based. It is all fear-based. I'm not saying it's wrong if that has happened to you, but it's coming out of fear. Now, here's the thing. If you're in an abusive relationship or if you've just had it, you absolutely need to protect your physical and energetic well-being. But what I'm seeing is like a mass hysteria, kind of, it's like things getting sucked into a black hole. It's like, oh my gosh. So we've gotten into an energy where politicians and other powerful people have been propped up on a pedestal while their admiring followers done all over them. This is 3D, third dimension control, absolute control. I'm trying to think of a time that we ever did this before. I mean, did we fawn all over Jimmy Carter? I mean, bless his heart. Oh my gosh, he's at the end of his life. I mean, did we do that with Jimmy Carter? Did we do that with Bush or Kennedy? Something happened with 24/7 media and social media that changed the programming. So the media and politics made these huge issues. But are they really issues in our world? All the issues that they told us as part of the agenda, you need to either care about this or be angry about this. Are they really issues for you? Because they only are if we make them mean something for us. You know, I often say in some of my classes that, yeah, there are atrocities happening all over the world. There's been 8 million people killed in a genocide in the Congo. There is nothing that I personally can do about that. There's just not. But I can take care of me because I have an energy that goes out and impacts the next person. And so only if we make an issue mean something to us does it impact us. And that's why our power cannot be taken from us, because we have free will to believe what we want to believe, live how we want to live, and see the world how we want to see it. If Kamala had won, we would basically the country would be burning down right now. There would be so many bomb threats, death threats. I mean, it would be bad. And with the Trump win, we are seeing the emotional and the mental health breakdown of the masses. Tell me how this is good either way. It's not. But this is the control. Because they're like, yeah, now we got them fighting against each other. Now we can start slipping in some things unbeknownst to them. It's a no-win situation, and going forward, it's only going to get worse if we don't see it for what it is and decide to take back our control. Now, this doesn't mean that we run amok and break all the laws. At the end of the day, I still have a prosecutor brain, okay? It just means we are more empowered than how we are behaving as a collective. And this is why in a lot of my classes, I advise at looking at things energetically. And what I mean is you've got to check your ego and your beliefs and your political position and look at the full picture. Because when you look at things energy, it's like you're in an airplane looking down out the window and you say, oh, look at that. Look at that happening. You're not in it and emotional, but you see it for what it is. So it doesn't mean going into hiding because the energy is tough, because this is where light workers have to shine, and star seeds, you got to get to work. If you know what a light worker and a star seed is, then you know what I'm talking about. So this election was a major push into new energy. It was a major shift. And it doesn't mean that Trump and his people are good or bad, because that's not what energy does. Energy just is. It means they are doing the job to move us forward. Now, forward can be good or bad, depending on your perception, but things need to move forward because we can't keep doing this every 4 years. This is like a yo-yo. I mean, I have election fatigue from the last 20 years. We can't keep yo-yoing back and forth. Things have to change. Kamala and her team are neither good nor bad, but they have a job to do in moving us forward. It's recognizing that Earth is a controlled planet. That is not easy for me to say. We are a controlled planet, every country, every citizen here. Going back to the earliest of times, humans have been controlling other humans. It's been a history of men being superior, whites being superior, rich being superior, powerful being superior. Some people call it the patriarchy, which was all over the Barbie movie, which people either loved or hated for the message. What it is it's just control. And if you are not a male, a white person, rich or powerful, then you are put into what's called the control engine. And the control engine of politics tells us we have to pick a side. Here are your two options. Well, you know, there were a lot more options on the ballot, but the media will not give them any airtime. So here are your two options, because if you vote independent, if you vote for the Green Party, the Unicorn Party, the Barbie Party, oh my God, you're going to put somebody else in power. And logically, that may be right, but who came up with the rule that we only get two options to pick from? Who came up with that? It's controlled. Why are there other fringe parties not discussed or even put on debate stages? It's controlled. So because of the work that I have done for 31 years as an attorney, and even before that, I have been talking to congressional leaders because I have worked for both political parties. I have been on the phone. When you're in college, you will do the work that you need to do to earn money. Okay. So, I mean, I've seen it all. And so I ask congressional leaders, and I have friends who are in legislative positions. And for 40 years, I have been asking, why are the primaries and caucuses not on the same day? Because as it is set right now, a handful of states dictate the final ticket to the rest of us. Iowa, New Hampshire, and South Carolina tell you and I who gets on our ticket. And then once Super Tuesday happens, a whole bunch of people drop out, and the states that are at the end of the primary and caucus season, they've had so many candidates drop out. It's like, oh, well, this is all that we're left with. That's control. We also don't pick who goes on the primary ballot. We are told who goes on the primary ballot. And then when we have the final vote, like we had yesterday and, playing out in the weeks beforehand, we hope and pray that our vote is counted and that it's all done with honesty and integrity. Do we really know for a fact? I mean, once they divulge the information, then we can look at it and say, okay, yeah, but we don't know. Like I went to look online to see that mine was counted, and all the information is gone. So some of this awareness is really difficult because our human brain just goes into protective mode and we brush it off as craziness. Is it really? I don't know. But when people get upset and violent about what is happening, that is a very low vibrational, third dimensional energy. You do not want to be in that at all. Where fear resides, you do not want to sit in that because then you will have more to be afraid of. They feed on the fear. Where we rise up is by asking the deep questions, being open-minded, talking to people, shifting, and frankly, just not playing their games. Don't play their games anymore. Division is a third dimensional energy. The division has never been so bad. Oh my gosh, it's unbelievable. And that's exactly what they want. And the more we are at each other's throats, the more they stay in power. So I remember in high school talking with my mom. She was a world history and US government teacher. And she told me in high school, knowing the path that I was going to go down, she said, never share your personal politics. Never tell anybody who you are voting for, and never talk about your personal religion, because all it will do is divide and cause people to create an opinion on you when that's not who you are as a person. That's just a factor. It's not who you are as a person. No, neither of those, who you vote for or your religion, should determine who you are as a person or who you get upset with right now. So having a democracy means that people get to choose. And so these were very wise words from my mom. Like she knew even back then of these control structures. And this was back in the early 1980s that she said this to me. So after 2011, when this energy shift, this great awakening, whatever you want to call it, went into full swing, we didn't know it at the time, but it really went into full swing starting November 11th of 2011. So 11, 11, 11. And now a majority of people, I mean, it's unbelievable, of people who are pushing their politics and religion in people's faces. And I keep thinking back to what my mom said. Don't disclose it. It's nobody's business. It's nobody's business. But it's happening big right now. The rise of Christian nationalism, which wasn't a thing like even 5 years ago. This country was not founded on religion, but for all to practice their own faith. And we even look to the original inhabitants of the US, the American Indians. They don't have a religion, they're spiritual. So, you know, with social media being 24/7 and news being 24/7, it has gotten extreme and it's in our face and it's control, it's programming, it's indoctrination, because we never did that before. We never knew how people voted. It's rooted in control and division. And I can guarantee you that people who openly voted for Kamala are taking down their yard signs because they're afraid right now. And people who supported Trump when he lost in 2020 kept up their signs year round for indoctrination and messaging. It's all control that is happening. And then we can add in Hollywood. I promise I'm going to get to some positive parts. Okay, but I really want you to understand this. Why does Hollywood come out and endorse? I mean, they are part of the control system. Are you really going to cast your vote and change your vote based on what your favorite movie star and musician says? Don't get me wrong. I love Barry Manilow. There, I said it. It's out in the open. I'm putting it in your face. It's part of my control feature. I want the world to love Barry Manilow. But I am not, I don't even know if he came out and endorsed anybody. Doesn't matter. It's not going to change how much I love him. And I'm not driving around with a Barry Manilow bumper sticker on my car or with a flag, because that's indoctrination of what is happening. And so it's really hard for people to know what their true soul aligned beliefs are because of the constant bombardment of messaging and indoctrination. And I mean, here's the thing, and I've said this for as long as I can remember. It doesn't matter who wins. I'm going to say that again. It doesn't matter who wins. Because now I realize the system is based in third dimension control and divisiveness. And the more we are against each other and living in fear, the stronger these systems get. The more we are more divided as a nation and as a planet right now because other countries actually got invested in our election and they got sucked into it. And don't get me wrong, I have moments of getting sucked into this matrix of control. So last night, I saw over on Threads, which is basically the Twitter version of Instagram. It's basically Zuckerberg saying, up yours, Elon Musk. I'm going to create Threads, which is just like Twitter. I'm rarely on Twitter. I just put travel stuff on there. And I go on there. I scrolled for half an hour, and it was women from other countries basically saying, who needs a Canadian support person? Who needs an Ireland support person? And I thought, oh my gosh, everybody coming together in a fifth dimensional energy. So I thought. And I even shared some of it on social media. And even though it was very well intended and people were literally coming from their heart center, in the end, it really was divisive because it sent a message that if you didn't vote for Kamala, especially as a woman, it meant that you don't love yourself and you don't love other women. That's a control message that we are being programmed to believe. So now women are being turned against each other. Everyone's under the spell except for a very small minority. And don't get me wrong, there are dark, evil people on this planet. In every industry. I've seen it in the legal system. I'm even seeing it in the spiritual and the healing world. The programming that they are doing. And it's like, ugh. But then there are also good light workers, people trying to bring change in every industry, including all of these control industries, Hollywood, the media, politics, law, medicine. But there are dark, evil people on this planet who want to do us harm because we live in a planet of duality, and they feed off of fear. It's the gasoline for their car. So it's important for you to use discernment to identify them, but not attack them. Just send light, because the only thing that transmute dark energy is light. When you walk into a dark room, you turn the light on, right? You don't stand in the doorway and say, dark energy, I banish you. That doesn't work. Flip on the light. Okay, so you have to send light. Light energy comes from your heart. Okay, this is the challenge for all of us as humans. It's not easy. I will tell you that. It's not easy, but we have to do it. So those who can live from their heart center and ditch the divisive judgment and hatred are aligned with the fifth dimensional energies. They are. The planet is moving into fifth dimensional energies. I track the Schumann resonance of the planet. Her frequencies are raising consistently. These battles are going to continue in these systems until the systems break down. And we see systems break down all the time. During 2008, 2009, during the recession, banks broke down, real estate broke down, auto industry broke down and built back up. Now, did they build back up better? I don't know. We'll find out. But here's the thing. Let these systems break down. Don't be in it. Don't be in it. Now, most of the humans on this planet are not going to be able to make the shift into the new energy because it's not what they came here to do. It's not for you to save people. That's hard to say. A lot of us are rescuers. We want to save people. Everybody has a soul mission. You and I, we have a job to do. You have to do your job. If you are a light worker and or a starseed, you have a mission, as hard as it may seem in these third dimensional energies. I'm going to be honest with y'all. I'd rather be sitting in my pajamas drinking hot chocolate with Rudy on my lap watching a Hallmark Christmas movie. I have election fatigue, but this was important for me to talk to you tonight. I'm here for you. Okay? It's important to understand that politics, who we vote for, what the news says, has zero to do with us on a day-to-day basis or how we live our lives. I'm going to say that again. Politics, who we vote for, and what the news says has zero to do with your day-to-day life. Right now, in this moment, you are safe. Right now. Right now, in this moment, you have nothing to fear. We're all hanging out. We're getting high on oils. Take another hit of your oil. We're hanging out with crystals. You guys, we got Rudy in the house. I mean, come on. How many of you have pets sitting in your lap? Come on. I mean, Emmy, I know that you have a hamster somewhere. I do. I do. So here's the thing. You're safe. There's nothing to fear in this moment. You can surround yourself with high vibrational love and compassion. Or you can go online and start debating people of a low vibrational energy who are not here to shift. That's how the dark energy wins, by feeding off of fear. The news media tells us what we need to know and bans what we don't need to know. The social media bans are out of control right now. I actually had a video taken down on TikTok of me walking through a state park at Lake Michigan, and just sharing it with people, and it was flagged for false information. I'm like, and it was flagged for being like I was copying, like it was artificial intelligence. And it's like, it's literally me talking into the camera on the beach. But I was talking to people about, don't get wrapped up in these energies. So the media tells us what to believe, and they're banning things. That's why we have free will, but it's controlled right now. Politicians tell us what to believe in. And if your beliefs have been cleared of your childhood programming, like if you've done the work, you're going to discover that you believe a little bit over here on this side, and a little bit over here on this side, and a little bit over here, and a little bit over there, that you don't fall into a party or a movement. And you can listen and have conversations with people who don't believe with what you believe in. Because you're a dabbler. You're a dabbler. You know, you don't believe that a politician is going to save you. No politician is going to save anybody. And you don't idolize the person or the process. You make the change in which you decide your life. So I remember saying back in 2008 when Obama won, and back in 2016 when Trump won, and everybody in both of those were going nuts and thought it was the end of the world. And I would ask people, do you really think that the person in the White House dictates your day-to-day life without your approval? And that was my question. Do you really think, like, do you literally think about the president every day? Do you wake up in the morning and say, I wonder what President fill in the blank is going to do to benefit me or screw me over today? Do you really think that? No, none of us do. But it is through our responses and our emotions that we give approval, and we give approval to the control. No one ever gets to tell you how to feel. No one. Feel all the feels. If you're feeling like crap right now, feel it. Just feel it and privately. If you're feeling awful, you can turn that around and change what you're exposing your energy to, change what you're literally indoctrinating your energy with. We give approval to the control by getting upset. That's divisiveness. That's what they want. And by watching the media, like one aligned version of the media, that's just more programming. Now, I've been in some conversations with some spiritual leaders that are telling us to stop voting. And I'm like, okay, I need you to logically explain that to me of how that looks right now when we have 335 million residents in the US and over 8 billion people worldwide, but there's maybe a couple million of us who know this information. Just a couple of million. That's it. Explain how this is going to happen. I have not heard back from them because I don't think they have an answer. So again, be careful of what people are telling you, because there are some spiritual leaders out there saying, stop feeding the matrix and stop voting. Well, it is our reality right now. So we have to work within it, but maintain your own control. Don't let politics or media decide the tone for your future going forward. What is interesting, we are in a Groundhog Day. Have you all felt this? This is a repeat of 2016. Absolute repeat. Like I could literally turn on the news and look at it today and then go back to a clip from 8 years ago, and it's like they're saying the exact same thing. Because we put up a woman against a white man. America didn't learn the lesson, and we are literally living in a reality show that is being scripted. Our society was challenged this time around to look at a woman of color as a leader, and it just collapsed on itself like a dying star, and it opted for a white male again. We have had 47 presidents, 46 white men. It's the dying patriarchy or control, whatever you want to call it, that is trying to stay in power. This shift is not easy, and it is not fast. And a lot of people have said to me, some of you here tonight have messaged me that you thought that Kamala was going to be the shift in the positive direction. That's not how the energy shift works. This is like birthing a baby and everybody is screaming. Everybody's bleeding out, and it is not pretty. And anybody who says a newborn baby is gorgeous, I'm sorry, once you clean them up, they may be cute, but it is not pretty to look at. We are in the not pretty. And I will tell you, this energy shift is full speed, full throttle, at least until 2030. And I know that's exhausting and you got to take care of yourself. But this shift is not easy. It's not fast, but it moves forward. Most people are not going to move with it because it's not their sole purpose. They're going to drag it down. But if it's yours, keep moving forward. And by moving forward, don't live in fear. Don't live in fear. There are big shifts coming. The political system is in the death rattle right now. It's in the death rattle. We got Pluto in Aquarius coming later this month, and it's going to sit there for 20 years, and it is going to alter everything. Everything. And it's gonna kick off with a boom. We've got Neptune in retrograde, so the illusions are being challenged, and astrologers are having a field day with all of this. It's fascinating to listen to them. Some of them are pieces of crap, and other ones are very educated and knowledgeable, so just be careful who you listen to. But when you start to act and live your life with true empowerment over your life and your decisions, that's releasing control. That's taking back your power. That's living in a fifth dimensional energy. When you choose to live happy and joyful, it doesn't matter the house of cards that is collapsing around you. Be as joyful as you can. Yes, we're going to have moments of sadness. Don't stuff it down. Don't ignore it. Feel it and then let it go. But do your best to stay in happy, joyful, loving energy. Live the life that you want in the place that you want with the people that you want and doing what you want. If you're a light worker, you got to shine your light and do your job that you came here to do. If the dark energy attempts to take that away from you, you have control. When you encounter vile, vicious negativity, just smile and say, you know what? This is where the love and light people need to come out. You know, sometimes I poke fun at my love and light friends who sign their emails love and light, whereas I want to sign it, get your act together, suck it up, buttercup. This is where you love and light all over them. This is one reason why Kamala laughs in the face of adversity. Because a threat does not like being laughed at. Okay, so don't let the dark energy take your energy. All of us signed up for a job when we are incarnated on this earth. Some signed up to be politicians, journalists, movie stars, lawyers, accountants, or the base workers that keep the planet going. And the base workers have historically been treated horribly since the beginning of time. The collective are base workers. And if you are a light worker, you have an elevated assignment, like doing exactly what I'm doing right now, rather than sitting in my pajamas and just being comfortable in the sanctity of my home. Because I'm putting things out here. I don't know how you're receiving it, but I felt very strongly this morning that I had to do this. Everyone has a job. Don't do a job that you didn't sign up for. If you're not a politician, get out of that system. If you're not a lawyer, get out of that system. People ask me every day, my daughter wants to go to law school. I'm like, nope, nope, nope. Redirect. Pinball machine of life. Go in the other direction. But that's what I signed up for, to do that. Let the people who signed up for it do their job. People are going to do the job in the political system. Let the light workers there do their job. There are light workers in every industry. There are dark workers in every industry. They know who they are. They know who they are. I know who they are. Our job as humans is to learn how the heart energy works and to live through it. Remember, good and bad is not recognized in this energy world. Energy just is. We then get to play with it. Okay, so let's get to the point. What can you do? Number one, you have got to get your nervous system regulated. If you are in heightened emotions, you are in trauma. You are traumatizing yourself. And you're going to see everything from fearful eyes, and you're going to feel like you're in danger, and your body is going to go into a trauma response. And when your body goes into a trauma response, guess who gets sick? Mark my words, this time next week, a bunch of people are going to be physically ill with whatever. It could be a cold, a sinus infection, COVID, it could be flu. This time next week, a bunch of people are going to get sick because their nervous system is dysregulated. Okay? Smelling essential oils, working with your crystals, doing breathing exercises, go out in nature. Okay? Be with people who bring you good energy, who are not going to talk politics with you, who are not going to sit around with a consensus bias and commiserate with you. Do not commiserate with people. You are putting gas in that car. Just don't do it. Doesn't mean that you don't take action when need to. It doesn't mean that you don't advocate when need to. Don't commiserate in the negative energy. If you feel upset or happy or anything in between, feel it. Part of the nervous system regulation is we don't allow ourselves to feel. If y'all know tapping, emotional freedom technique, the whole tapping technique, I don't care where you tap, tapping right now puts you in your body. It absolutely puts you in your body. The other recommendation, do not latch yourself to the political system because we get a new political person every 4 years, pretty much. And it's going to fail you half the time. And you're going to feel like you're in an emotional yo-yo. Remember, whoever sits in the White House has no control over your life. They don't. Even if they have control of the Senate and Congress and the Supreme Court, and don't even get me going about the Supreme Court, but it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Keep looking ahead. Keep looking forward. Do not catastrophize this because reality is what you make it. If you want to live in a catastrophe, that's your choice. If you want to live in fear, that's your choice. You have free will to choose. But if you can stay in the flow of these energies, you're going to feel better. So use all your tools. One of my favorite nervous system regulation technique is I lay with my back either on the floor or on my bed and I put my legs up the wall. Oh my gosh, you're going to totally chill out. That is an amazing technique. Because if you make yourself sick with worry over things that you personally cannot control, then you cannot be part of the solution. And the shifting of this planet is happening. And if you want to be a part of it, we got to keep ourselves going. So, okay, I'm coming to a conclusion and then I'll take any questions that you have. So the moral of the story is that it doesn't matter who the politicians are. They are players on a political chessboard being moved around by the media and all the different control systems. We are never going to like, respect, or vote for the same person because we're given a two-party system which instantly divides us. Okay, so every 4 years, you're going to go through the yo-yo of emotional energy, and we wonder why we're so sick as a country. And the media is going to flip its messaging in a heartbeat because I saw it this morning. Bam! Did they flip their energy real fast? And it's like, ah, look at your little control energy happening here. I see you for what you are. The lesson that is playing out now is it actually may not even be ours to learn. It could be somebody else's. This could be Trump's lesson. This could be Kamala's lesson. We're just going along for the ride. So it's your choice on what you want to believe and how you want to live your life. But the energies are asking us to upgrade and elevate. Anger, division, pointing fingers, name calling, being triggered, sharing social media posts from people that you do not know, so you don't know if it's true. That's all low vibrational energy. The political system on this planet is low vibrational energy because of the control. And if you decide that you want to be part of the shift into the higher frequencies, you have to shift yourself. It's not the time to sit back and nurse your wounds. It's a time to decide to change the narrative in how you treat yourself. Do you want to keep traumatizing yourself over this? Or do you want to feel better? And it's also in how we treat each other. This shift is not easy or fast. I'm going to say that again. It's not easy and it's not fast, but it moves forward. And while it may feel like we're moving backwards, we are moving forward because even if it feels backwards, people are motivated for change. That's what moves us forward. If people are complacent, like we have been historically for hundreds, if not thousands of years, we have been complacent. We just sit back like, doesn't matter. People are motivated now, and that's the change. All right. That's what I got. I wrote 9 pages of channeled information this morning. Took me a couple of hours to download it. So if you have a question, you can, well, I don't necessarily see everybody. You can type it in the chat. You can unmute yourself.
Yeah, I don't have a question. I
Yeah.
just have a comment. And, you said something. I had a coworker come in and she was upset about the election. I said, I said, it is what it is. It's 4 years.
Yeah.
You can't let it take you down. And she's just like, I don't understand why you're not upset. And I'm like, people voted. It's the democracy, and that's how it works. And we'll get another person in 4 years. So
Yeah.
can't let other people's decisions impact me when I know I made what decision I wanted to make.
Yeah.
And I don't share either who I voted for with anyone. So it
Yeah.
doesn't really, it's like I get that people are impacted by this, if they were very passionate about something, but again, it's the people have spoken and we just have to move forward and hope that, things keep moving forward.
Yeah, and I mean, I keep thinking back to a time when none of us really cared about the elections. We only cared on the day of. And then it was like, oh, I guess I better brush up and find out what these people are standing for. We didn't live our lives and according to politics, and now every major news network leads with politics 24/7, 365 days a year. I mean, they're going to be dissecting this for months, and then Trump's going to take office. Or will he? Will Vance take office? That's the speculation that's happening right now. And then that's going to get dissected. And then what is Kamala doing behind the scenes? What is Biden? What is everybody else doing? It's constant bombardment. We don't get a break anymore. They are trying to make us live this 24/7. And it, it, yeah, it's, we got to see it for what it is. So yeah, and we deserve to be happy. Only we can live our lives. Okay, only you can live your life, and you have a choice. Some people literally choose to be miserable. They just choose it, and it's like, okay, that's their choice, that's their path. Nothing I can do. I can just give them an option. Because I think of, all the presidents.
Mhm.
There were some presidents that I liked, some presidents that I didn't. Most of them I don't like. It's like I might like some policies, but it has nothing to do with the person. And it's like, I'm just
Mhm.
fine. I'm just fine throughout it. It's okay. Now I realize there are a lot of people who are scared about certain laws being passed and things that are going to happen, but they have choices. They can
Mhm.
empower themselves. And that's the thing. Instead of sitting back like, oh, there's nothing I can do, this is going to happen. No, you can do stuff. I mean, maybe look at one of those. I'm getting all these social media posts about moving to Portugal because apparently it's fantastic there.
Mhm.
So, and so, yeah, it's,
The grass isn't always greener on the other side. You know what I mean? So you have to do your
yeah.
research before you make
Oh, yeah.
decisions like that. So
Yeah. It,
what's their political environment like versus what our political environment's like? You know what I mean?
yeah.
So there's so much you have to take into consideration. Yeah, it sounds great, but
Oh,
for how
yeah.
long?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. And I've been to Portugal and it's perfectly lovely.
Yeah.
It's, but it's like, but that's fear. That's fear. Like there are still, regardless of how you voted, there are still powerful people working for good on all sides. Find who you resonate with and stay with them. Or just check out completely from the entire political system.
Yeah. There's a lot going on behind the scenes that people
Oh,
aren't seeing. I mean,
oh yeah.
there's just
Yeah.
a lot going on.
I mean, I can tell you right now, just in this month, we're going to learn some stuff
Mhm.
that's going to shake people to the core. Now, I don't know who it is. I mean, I don't do predictive things like that. Um, but that was yet another message that was
Hmm.
channeled to me today was It's not what it seems. It's not what it
Mm-mm.
appears. And then a couple of my friends who I very much trust, who are channelers, they're like, hold on, it doesn't mean Kamala's getting it. That's not what they're saying. They're like
Right.
stop hitching your wagon to anybody or anything.
Hmm. Yeah.
But this is not going to play out. We are not in normal energies. This is not going to play out normally. Yeah.
How do you get your channel? Like, were you, using a crystal, or did it just come to you? And also,
Yeah.
I have felt just super heavy today.
Mhm.
Um, and I had two different people in the last 2 days tell me that I should or shouldn't be feeling a certain way, and I just kind of lost it on them. And I was wondering if you knew if there was like, aside from the election, if there's something else energetically going on, or if it just is just me.
Oh, yeah, it's dark energy has pervaded everybody who is in fear and angry and divisive. And I mean, everybody who's doing that. And I'm seeing it in some light workers who have turned dark. I'm seeing it in spiritual people who have turned dark. No one is immune from it. You have to be hyper aware of what's happening. So people are controlled by this dark energy and they're playing out their programming, which they probably haven't worked on it. A vast majority of human beings don't even look at their program beliefs, let alone identify whether they're good and they want to keep them or they want to change them. Very few people do that work. So they are literally playing out a program and they played it out on you. And, my best advice is to just respond, thank you for your concern, period. Period. Because when you put your emotional response on them, it feeds them. It feeds them, and then they're going to come back. It's like a boomerang. Do not engage in the energy. Cut that baby off and just say, thank you for your concern. Or you can say, I'm okay. Thank you for your concern.
I wish I had known that before, because
We're
I just
all,
went off on them.
yeah, we're all a work in progress. We're all a work in progress. And I mean, it took me, believe me, when I was a prosecutor, I popped off on people. I am not, I'm not the person with the cat unicorn sitting back here. That's not who Prosecutor Alley was. I'd slit your throat and walk over your dead and dying body to do my job. I was pretty aggressive. I'm a very different person now, but I had to play the system in order to do that. And I would emotionally pop off on people, and it's like, man, the more I did that, the more they came after me. Huh, maybe there's something to that. You disconnect the energy and not respond because they're looking for a response. They're looking for a response. So the people in your life who voted opposite of you, they're going to trigger you to look for a response, and all you need to say is, "I'm fine."
Well, these
That
weren't
will,
even that voted
yeah,
opposite me. One of them was my sponsor. She told me I was overreacting.
yeah.
Like,
You're allowed to feel what you're feeling, just don't dwell in it. Like, don't ignore your emotions. They're trying to tell you something. And emotions that don't feel good are like a GPS. They're telling you, detour, get off this road, danger ahead. But we don't. We barrel toward it and we keep going. So, yeah, people are going to intentionally trigger you. And if you don't play the game and respond, if you just smile and say, oh, I'm fine, life is great. Oh my gosh, it's going to trigger them. Yeah,
and I
just
know this logically, but man, that's hard to do.
it takes a lot of practice doing any of this energy work. It is constant vigilance and practice, and then eventually it's just who you are. It's just who you are. Because when you're a light worker or just even just a good person, you don't want to engage in triggered behavior. You don't want to have it. You don't want it in anybody else. We all want everybody to be good people, right? We want everybody.
Yeah.
So why would we say something to somebody that would trigger them with a negative response back on us? And then it goes back and forth. It's kind of like Israel bombing Iran, and then Iran says, "Oh, you bombed us. So under international law, we're allowed to bomb you." So here comes the bombs, and then Israel says, "Oh, hell no. We're going to bomb you again." It never ends.
Yeah.
It's war, and humans are at war with each other with our words. And if you literally stop the energy dead in its tracks, the sender of it is not going to know what to do because you literally cut off their energy feed. You cut it off. They are a car pulling up for more gasoline, and you're like, sorry, tank is empty. Bye bye. They can't feed off of your energy if you don't give it to them. Yeah. So, Emmy, I saw that you had a question about this 2030. So, this like really intense energy shift, which has been building, really building for, well, since 2011, is believed to be full throttle until 2030. And we're always going to be in it, but it's like we're going to shift enough so that after 2030, it's like, oh yeah, this is okay. This is okay. Enough human beings are going to shift and wake up that we're like, yeah, we're fine. We're fine. But it's gonna feel like we're either, birthing a baby, or we are a teenager in puberty going through the growth spurt, and everybody is miserable. It's one of those two things. So that's why you have to take care of yourself first and foremost before anything. You have to take care of yourself because you're no good to anybody if you're angry, if you're sick, if you're depleted, if you're fatigued. I mean, if you have to go to work and you have sick time that you can use, I'd be liberally using some sick time. I would. I'd be liberally using that. You earned it. You earned it. Use it. And then go do something joyful for yourself. I highly recommend people start putting up their holiday decorations. I've already done that. And that's why people do it. That's why all of a sudden, since COVID, people are putting their Halloween decorations up on November 1st after Halloween because it represents joy. The sparkling lights, the Christmas bulbs that the cats like to bat around, on the tree. It represents joy. Do the
How
things to
did
bring you joy.
how did you come up with the date of 2030?
It's in the circles that I kind of run in, that seems to be the consensus. It's kind of what I'm feeling like we've got more. It's not, I mean, it's always going to go on, but like the full throttle of people feeling uncomfortable, it's just collectively. It could be 2028, it could be 2034. I don't know, but we're kind of feeling like about another 6 years. And then it eases up a bit because we've shifted. We've changed. I mean, if you look at your life now compared to before the pandemic, I can guarantee you it's different. I can guarantee that you do things differently and you think differently. That was a big part of the shift. Yeah. All right. Any other questions? I'm going to send you the recording to this because this is a lot. One thing that I would ask though is do not share this recording unless you have somebody close to you that you trust with this, and they've done spiritual work on themselves. This is not for a newbie at all. This is not. They would not be able to handle this at all. And it's not for you to blast open their awakening. So I ask you it's going to be a private link on my YouTube page. You're going to have the link to it so that you can re-listen to it, but do not post it on social media. I do not need the dark energy coming after me because the dark energy does not like this information being shared. Okay, so just keep it to yourself. Keep it to yourself. Okay, are you at least feeling a little better? I mean, I'm sure it was overwhelming. And you maybe heard some things that you've never heard before, but do you at least feel like, okay, I'm not in a hopeless state? Because you're in control. You get to decide how you feel. You get to decide what you do on a day-to-day basis. And if something happens where you can't do what you want to do, then you go to a different place. You go to a different place. Yeah. You're in control. Okay? Don't they can't take that from you unless you allow that. And a lot of people are allowing it. All right.
How are people allowing it, Allie?
By being divisive, by being afraid, by being fearful, by staying in negativity, by literally sitting at home and fuming and crying and being in fear and not pulling themselves out of it. Like you can have your moment, but then you got to pull yourself out of it. So they stay in a victim mentality. Like, oh, there's nothing I can do now. Oh my gosh, we're all going to be targeted. No, because he's not that powerful. He's not. The president doesn't have that much power. Like
No.
people believe that the president actually controls the price of eggs and gas. No, the control system does. It's a huge control system worldwide. It's not just here in the US. It's
Yeah.
big.
Yeah.
So it's like he doesn't have that much power. He can
What
surround
about
himself
projects?
with good people or evil people. It doesn't matter. He doesn't have that much power. He's not He had control of everything for his first 2 years in office. He didn't do what he said he was going to do. Do you think he's going to do it now?
What about Project 2025?
It's already been instituted. People think, oh, it's going to be instituted in 2025. No, it's already in full swing. It has been for a decade. The Supreme Court is the prime example. They are a 2025 Supreme Court. Well, you know what? Then we work around them. We work around them until it can be backtracked. But that's part of the shift. You put something that extreme in your face, it wakes people up. It wakes people up. But right now, right now, in this moment, because we can't live in the past, we can't live in the future. In this moment, none of us are controlled by Project 2025 as we sit here right now. There is nothing happening to you in this moment that is controlled by that. And as long as you can keep in the present moment and not buy into the fear of it. I mean, I read that document and I only got about 50 pages into it and I got physically sick and I'm like, I've heard enough. I'm not going to feed into this. I'm not going to let it take any more of my time. I'm not going to let it take my energy at all. Because I'm just not going to let it happen. We need more people thinking like that, but too many people fall into there's nothing I can do, and that's exactly what the control wants. Because that's what the control says. There's nothing you can do. We'll take care of you. No, you take care of you. And take care of the people around you. Interesting
So
stuff, eh?
So during this time, Allie, like what oils are you like thinking about, like present time, acceptance or believe or I
All of
mean,
those are good. It's whatever
yeah,
you're drawn to.
okay.
It's whatever you're drawn to. Same thing with crystals. It's whatever you're drawn to. Whatever
Yeah.
you have, use it. Use it
Hmm.
liberally because the oils and the oils and the crystals will change your frequency.
Hmm.
That's what gets you out of this energy. You change your frequency, they're not even going to see you. They're not even going to come for you. I have so many friends in very similar businesses who cry to me every day, oh my gosh, people are attacking me online. It's like, that's funny. I don't get that. Because first of all, I don't tolerate it. Anybody says anything that's remotely rude to anybody, delete and ban, delete and ban. I have no problem doing that. It's like they're not going to screw with me because that's the energy that I put out. Like, do you
Hmm.
really want to debate me? Because I would enjoy that. They don't like that. And I raise my frequency so those people don't even see me. I mean, they literally do not see me. So use your oils a lot, all of them, as many as you want, whatever you want, whatever you're drawn to. Trust yourself. You're going to use the right oils and not 1 drop a day. The 1 drop a day people, you need to stop that. I want you to give a whole new meaning to the word anointing. You smell. I want you to smell so bad that you're going to repel the energy vampires. Literally. They're not going to be able to handle your energy. It's like the people who smell the joy oil and they're like, oh, that smells awful. It's like, you got some work to do. So that's an oil to smear all over yourself because you're going to repel the people who don't have joy. Yeah. Carry crystals in your pocket. You're going to repel the people. They're not even going to touch you. They're just not.
Black tourmaline, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
And very high frequency quartz, like Himalayan, Tibetan, that sort of thing. They're not going to touch you. They're not going to mess with you because you're vibrating at such a high energy. You're going to give them a headache. You are. You're going to give them a headache. They're not going to be able to stand in your presence at all. And those that can, keep them close. So when you really smell and reek of essential oils and people come up and they're like, oh, you smell so good. It's like, all right, you're my new best friend.
Yep.
Keep them close. Yeah. All right. I'm going to let you guys go because I've had you for an hour and a half. I'll send you the recording tonight and just take care of yourself. Take care of each other. Don't drop into this. Don't drop into this control. That's what they want. This has been going on for thousands and thousands of years, and it's unwinding. It's just really painful to watch, okay? You got a support team. There's all of us. We're all a support team for each other, okay? All
We
right.
need to group together.
That's why I created the Sacred Shift. That's why I created that community. For my crystal group, I have the Crystal Cluster. But those are paid memberships. But my online communities are free. Facebook, Instagram, TikTok. You know, get on those. I'm talking about stuff all the time. And when you get into an algorithm of the people that you want to hear from, then social media is really positive and uplifting. You just have to tell it what you're interested in. So yeah, so there's ways that we all stay connected. All right, my friends, I will see you all later.
Enjoy.
Thank you,
Thanks for being here.
Thanks, Allie.
Bye.
Bye.